press praised it. Luxury car companies feared it. The public adored it. Now it's about to happen all over again. Presenting the new Nissan Altima. Enjoy the ride.
You're watching
Philadelphia's NBC10.
Serving Pennsylvania,
New Jersey.
and Delaware.
Now live. This is News 10 at 11. Tonight, cleaning up from the most devastating storms of the year.
Tornadoes from down south bring wind, rain, and dangerous conditions to our area. Good evening, I'm Larry Menti.
And I'm Renee Chenault. Tonight, stormy weather is making a mess of things in our area, but nothing like the destruction in Florida. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, rainy weather usually means a flood along Route 130 in Collingswood, and tonight, no different. News 10 at the rain-drenched spot in Camden County. Drivers are urged to avoid that area tonight. Traffic is also being swamped tonight down the shore. News 10 in West Atlantic City, where standing water rules on Route 40 in West End Avenue. Many motorists don't dare go the speed limit for fear their engines might stall. As some residents in Newark, Delaware are fearing an overflow by the Christiana River, News 10 along the river off Route 58. Police report flooding along Route 896 in Newcastle County. So how severe is this weather going to get? Let's go right to News 10's John Belaris, live in the Earthwatch Weather Center. John.
Hey, Renee, another El Nino soaker. Let's get right to it. Look at all the rain in southern Jersey, almost 3 inches at Stone Harbor today. Atlantic City, a little over 2 inches. Millville, a little over an inch. As we get closer into the city, we picked up an inch and a half. And look at this. Some snow now beginning to fall well to the north and west. I'll let you know if that snow will work its way southward and what the shore can expect as well. Larry?
All right, thank you, John. Slippery and flooded roads are causing big problems tonight. The front end of this car was torn apart by a violent crash. Police tell News 10 the driver lost control in the southbound lanes of I-95 near Academy Road and slammed into the guardrail. Traffic was backed up for miles. The victim, a woman, was rescued with the jaws of life and taken to the hospital. No word yet on her condition.
That accident was just one of about a dozen wrecks on I-95 tonight. The stormy weather caused many of those crashes. News 10's Mike Strug is live on I-95 near the Betsy Ross Bridge with the story. Mike.
Well, Renee, it's been a terrible night out here on I-95, what with the driving rain and the gusting winds, accidents everywhere. Half a dozen up near the Academy Road exit alone, another down near the airport, and one near the Callow Hill Street exit, which involved an overturned, or I'm sorry, not overturned, but a jackknife tractor trailer.
The truck jackknifed and then it hit another car, which made the tire come off. And then from there, we all hit the tire as it was flowing off. It was laying in the middle of the road.
Not a good night out here.
Not at all. It's a terrible night out. If you can stay home, stay home.
That is certainly good advice. Live along I-95, I'm Mike Strug, News 10.
Now, the rain we're getting tonight is the latest smack from El Nino. Its soaking rains have muddied the west coast, but it has also spawned, as we told you about a little while ago, a string of deadly tornadoes, the likes of which have rarely, if ever, been seen in central Florida. Tonight, at least 38 people are dead, 13 others are missing. Now, the El Nino twisters came through the Gulf and came up through Tampa. Then it cut a path of destruction right through central Florida to Daytona Beach, somehow missing the major resorts. But in between, the storms nearly wiped the city of St. Cloud right off the map. Here is an aerial view of the incredible devastation. It only took minutes for the tornadoes to wreck hundreds of homes, toss cars around like tinker toys, and knock out power to thousands of residents. Wind gusts were estimated at around 210 miles per hour. At ground level, you can see the human face of the catastrophe. One Floridian said a friend holding his baby boy during the storm had the infant ripped from his arms. The father is undergoing surgery. The baby is still missing. Others say they will never forget the day the twisters came.
It was on us, and we were flipping through the air, and we hit a pine tree.
Thank God it hit a tree, because everything behind us and beside us
was taken out. They found people that were right next to us on the turnpike.
So far, 14 counties in Florida have been promised federal aid. But El Nino has not forgotten the West Coast. All up and down California, there are problems. More rain, more mud, more problems, especially in the San Francisco Bay Area, where some homeowners are literally just holding on to the edge. Rain keeps eating away the hillsides around San Francisco. 7 homes on this slope are sliding to destruction. Sandbags only prolong the agony. Across the bay in Oakland, this home has just about had it. 2 houses are now red tagged, meaning the occupants are not allowed to live inside. Now, there is some good news coming out of all of this terrible weather tonight. We'll show you a heartwarming test of strength and character coming up in just a few minutes on News 10.
Well, tonight, President Clinton has given the UN deal with Iraq cautious approval. It's an agreement that could bring the U.S. troops back from the brink of war. But first, it must be approved by the UN Security Council, which gets its first look at the plan tomorrow. The documents were signed this morning in Baghdad with the stroke of their pens. UN Secretary General Kofi Annan and Iraq's Foreign Minister Tariq Aziz sealed the tentative deal reached yesterday. This afternoon, President Clinton gave the pact his conditional support. But the president made it clear he does not trust Saddam Hussein to live up to the promises.
What really matters is Iraq's compliance, not its stated commitments. Not what Iraq says, but what it does.
The deal gives UN weapons inspectors immediate and unrestricted access to look for chemical weapons anywhere in Iraq. It provides for long-term monitoring by inspectors, and repeat visits with no deadlines are included. Kofi Annan presents the deal to the UN Security Council tomorrow. Stay with News 10 and NBC News for continuing coverage of the deal with Iraq.
Tonight, an about-face and a high-profile bust leaves the FBI red-faced. Just a few days ago, 2 men were in shackles, branded terrorists by the FBI. William Levitt and Larry Wayne Harris were accused of plotting to use the deadly weapon anthrax. But the anthrax was found to be just a harmless strain. Tonight, all serious charges are dropped and Levitt is free. Harris remains jailed on a probation violation. Tonight, the U.S. Supreme Court rules Megan's Law is the law in New Jersey. The High Court rejected a constitutional challenge to the community notification provision. It requires authorities to tell residents the whereabouts of convicted sex offenders. Maureen Kanka was publicly fought for the law since her daughter's 1994 murder. Her reaction to the Supreme Court decision is tempered by those who maintain Megan's Law is unconstitutional.
Offenders need to know that they created the need for this law by their actions. And if they don't want to be known to the public, they need to keep their hands to themselves.
Concept of branding someone in the community means, A, you're criminalizing, in effect, evil thoughts. This is someone who has not committed a new offense, but who you suspect might commit a future offense.
Convicted sex offender Jesse Temendiquas was sentenced to death for the rape and murder of Megan Kanka. The law bearing her name is also on the books in Pennsylvania and 35 other states.
Tonight, new developments in the Grossberg-Peterson case. We may have a hint now as to how Amy Grossberg is going to defend herself against charges that she murdered her newborn baby. News 10's Doug Schimel is live in Wilmington, where the case will be tried. Doug has the latest for us tonight.
Yeah, well, when Amy Grossberg agreed to take a psychiatric exam last year, her legal team at the time thought it would be a good move to try to help exonerate her. Well, in this judge's ruling released late today here, it confirms her legal team has now completely abandoned that strategy. In a major change of strategy, Amy Grossberg and her lawyers are backing away from a defense based on Amy's psychological state. At the time, she and boyfriend Brian Peterson allegedly murdered their newborn son.
They have decided that one of the arguments, the positions that had been maintained by a predecessor attorney was not the correct way to go, and they've made an adjustment.
That adjustment, say experts, means Grossberg's lawyers want to remove any hint that she may have been actively involved in the killing, particularly since she is now asking for a separate trial for Brian Peterson, a sign she may very well blame her boyfriend for the murder. Well, we spoke with Amy Grossberg's attorney, John Malik, here, who did not want to talk on camera. He did confirm that they have withdrawn the psychiatric strategy, but what they're going to use in its place just 2 months away from trial, he won't say. Live in Wilmington, Delaware, I'm Doug Schimel, News 10.
Tonight, parents got assurances of good...
WeatherScope.
Well, if the old saying misery loves company is true, then much of California and the Northeast have something in common tonight. Absolutely miserable weather. Hello, I'm Paul Emick, and welcome to this edition of WeatherScope.
And I'm Christina Abernathy. Rain-soaked California is staggering after being hit by another storm, and across the Northeast, better plan on a nasty morning commute. A cold rain has been shrouding the New York City skyline tonight. Temperatures have been around 40 degrees, and you've also had gusty winds. The wind chill has been in the teens. All in all, a tough night to be out in the Big Apple. Well, let's see what's going on out there. And of course, last night we were dealing with a storm in the southeastern U.S. that was really affecting Florida. And this time last night, dealing with some very rough weather in Florida with rain and also thunderstorms and unfortunately tornadoes. So our system was here last night, but now we've seen it moving up the East Coast as a nor'easter, and it's taking the rain to the north. Now we see that in southern New England as we head into New York City, and we also are dealing with some snow here, so moisture wrapping around this area of low pressure, and we're running into some of the colder temperatures, especially at some of the higher elevations. That's where you are dealing with wintry precipitation here from south central New York back through central Pennsylvania. That's where some of the heavier amounts of snow are falling, but again, it's rain around New York City. Hartford can anticipate rain as well as around Boston. So we are also dealing with some windy conditions here. We've got, of course, the rain, as you can see, an area of high pressure to the north, our low here, and with that, we're dealing with some rather stiff winds here, winds gusting to 20, 30, 40 miles per hour, not at all uncommon. And again, what we're seeing on the radar right in here, this is falling as snow through parts of central Pennsylvania and on into New York around Binghamton, reporting some snow, but it's rain for Philadelphia, for New York City, with winds gusting again over 30, 35 miles per hour. And you can see what's lurking just to the south here. All that's going to be headed into New York City, so look out in Manhattan. Things are going to be very soggy for you tonight. A rainy, windy night, and we do have gale and storm warnings in effect for those very windy conditions here, so you can anticipate that. And with some coolish temperatures, it's going to feel even colder than the actual temperature might indicate because of the wind. But that wind is also going to really be piling up the water, and that could result in some coastal flooding here, so you'll want to look out for that in all the areas we have shaded in red. And one final thing to let you know about is that we do have heavy surf advisories in effect here. Fenwick Island back to the North Carolina-Virginia border. Also still some heavy surf advisories for the west coast of Florida. But here to the north, snow is going to be increasing as we head off to the north, and some areas could pick up half a foot of snow or more before noon on Tuesday. Paul?
Well, in California, you've had your share of weather problems again today, with another storm delivering more rain and heavy mountain snow, and putting tire chains on the high Sierras. This is Nevada County, California rather. That's on Interstate 80, just there recently, just west of Reno. And wow, a lot of snow there now, though. Truckers needing extra traction after a heavy snow blanketed the area. The amounts of snow have been unreal. Several inches an hour have been piling up throughout the last 24 hours. It's been a wild snow event. On in Southern California, it's mud rather than snow that is clogging some roads. This is Malibu, where heavy equipment was being used to clear mud and debris. More rain has been falling on saturated hillsides. In other words, it already holds as much water as it can. It's full, literally, and water has to go somewhere and start and with it. And that's where we're seeing the mudslide problems with this threatening the area for a little bit longer. We're still dealing with more rain in California tonight and around Malibu Hills. We're seeing rain now. Here's the deal. Here's the wet west coast. Here's a front on shore. Now, behind this front, we're not through with this beast yet. Behind it, a bit of cold air is coming in aloft, and that cold air way up there could add to the bumpiness or enhance the storminess as this thing pulls on shore. We could really fire up some storms, maybe even some hail wouldn't be out of the question to see in the southern parts of California. That's behind the front as it moves in. Eventually the real thundery stuff moves into Phoenix. We have that to anticipate. Of course, we'll deal with that in the forecast coming up. Tonight, the heavy rains are ahead of the front. The cold front, a lifter, moving in under a moist air mass and making good use out of the moisture, or maybe bad use out of it, and making the rain. Into L.A., still very wet tonight around Burbank, around Malibu Hills, all around town, even towards San Diego. Now we're going to bring more wet weather in here shortly. Imperial Beach, a few showers now, and eventually Miramar. We'll see some in here as well. Even look at some of these cells here where you see some of that yellow. There's some pretty strong storms here that are just to the east now of Los Angeles. Let's look at the big picture of Southern California. Again, here's the front. Behind the front, more of a showery pattern. Northern California, that's the deal. You can even see the circulation of low pressure from this counterclockwise motion. Yeah, tonight in Redding, we're dealing with wet weather. Snowy stuff not that far away in parts of Colorado. Also at times around Ogden reporting some snow. We could really pile it up if you were a skier. Of course, that is good news, including some spots we'll see maybe in the 3 to 6 inch range where you see that pinkish color. That's not a lot of snow, but it's 3 to 6 inches of new powder. But look at this. In parts of Utah, or Nevada rather, I'm trying to say, 6 to 12 inches could pile up. This is good stuff here. In Ely, Nevada, it's been snowing quite some time. Not just the Sierra, but also toward southern Cal. Some of the southern mountains here are picking up a lot of snowfall. Something else that's really picking up, that's still the wind, and the heavy surf advisories remain in effect toward Tijuana and northward toward Point Piedras Blancas. Here's the west coast. We'll kind of put it all together for you. This front making a connection into the upper Midwest. Ahead of that front, again, another lifter moving in. Some showers are popping up tonight. Around Milwaukee, some rain. Not seeing anything in Chicago Metro yet. Don't think this is quite there. But in toward Evanston, in the next little bit, we'll see some rain, some fairly heavy rain now around Rockford. Here's a look at the current map with a mess on the west coast. A few showers here and this big beast in the east. We'll look at the future of this in our forecast with Christina.
All right, here we go into that good evening forecast. We'll start out with your morning weather in the northeastern U.S., and it is not going to be a nice commute for you. Manhattan up towards Cambridge, some soggy weather, and temperatures are going to be a bit on the cool side, although nothing unbearable for this time of year, in the 30s for the most part. Then as we head inland, we're into a little colder air, and that's where you'll be dealing with the snow around Syracuse and up towards Burlington. To the south, plenty of sunshine to start your day in Atlanta with 37. Your morning temperature 46 in New Orleans. To the north, maybe Chicago could get in on some of those showers that Paul just showed you on the radar, 37. And, of course, rain, maybe some storms in Southern California. So take the umbrella as you leave for work in L.A. or San Diego, and you may want to set your alarm a little early because there may be some slippery roadways to contend with. Temperatures overnight are going to be cool, but again, nothing unbearable. Still watching our nor'easter here as we head into Tuesday morning, and still watching the southwestern U.S. for rain, for mountain snows, that continuing to push inland, maybe giving you a bit of a break finally in California. Snow and rain continuing in the northeast, and that's where we're thinking some of the heavier amounts of precipitation are going to be in the northeast and in the southwest. And here are your high temperatures on Tuesday. It is going to be a very mild day. Take a look at all those 70s in the south central states and along the Gulf Coast, feeling a little like springtime with really not a lot of cold air to speak of anywhere in the country.
I got a beach fever bad, too.
Yeah.
I tell you what, it's not bad. The problems in the northeast, though, with the rain and the snow might mean some slow going for morning commuters.
This